Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Hello, everyone. A fun session with the crew here this morning. On Tuesdays, we have, let's just make sure. Hello, everyone. Yay. YouTube's working. We have our professional day traders. Man, these guys are so cool. And it's kind of fun just hanging out with them because it's definitely a different mindset if you get into the sort of mindset of a day trader, like a professional one that seriously does it for a profession. Because they're very sort of matter of fact. These are the levels. I'm going to be watching how price acts at the levels. If I get my signal, I go. If I don't, well, I just sit there and don't do anything. I say, man, that's the sign of a pro. So Tuesdays, if you want to take advantage of that 30-day trial, Tuesdays daily brief, it's just such an absolute treat to sit and listen to Daniele and Kieran. And every once in a while, Brian throws in his 2 cents. And actually, we even had a really cool example of I guess it's a setup that Daniele likes, but a J-Lo booty bottom example. Very impressive. Anyway, it's great to see them maturing as both commentators and traders. In a weird sort of way, that's I'm not even gonna say that's half my job. I think that's like 3/4 my job. Is I'm on this funny little mission of creating this community that is self-sustaining, and at some point it just gets like the internal inertia within it. People like Kieran, and Kieran's a perfect example. He actually came to me with an idea a year or so ago about actually doing like a prop firm, but co-op style, where we're not out to fucking make a profit off each other or sell our data, but we're actually here to work together and share in the rewards. And I was just over the top impressed with that attitude. And that's really what this is all about. So half of my job, although I just said a moment ago it's 3/4, is really just to empower these people, give them the stage to let them blossom as individuals. And that was really a great example of what I saw today. These two are really blossoming, and it's beautiful to watch. Just absolutely beautiful. I think I've said this before. I like to consider myself a gardener, where I'm literally just walking up and down the aisles. Yeah, it really touches my soul. I guess that's why I want to get over to Hawaii, because I really like fruit. And I want to grow a lot of fruit trees. So anyway, we'll get on with it. Can't grow too much stuff here in BC. Oh, it's so damn it wet and cold. Anyway. Okay, market talk. Actually, obviously in the crypto universe, things were a bit tough here. A little disappointed that people that kind of finessed the public a few months ago have kind of just gone silent. They're not really supporting the market now. And if anything, I'm almost kind of hearing that we're going to try and find excuses and people to blame to justify these prices coming down. When in reality, I put out a tweet today. To me, it's like what goes up must come down. I mean, it's just the law of physics. And actually, it's kind of funny. I was sort of pointing it out to the community today during my moment to talk to them. And I actually cut myself off because really today's supposed to be about Daniele and Kieran. But what I actually think is happening is we're right on schedule. And to give you that idea, probably the best way to see this is Mr. W.D. Gann. I don't know whether, wonder where I had that chart. It was a great chart. Here it is. So ironically enough, there's an old rule that just simply says you want to know what the natural retracement of this big move. And come on, B-ball. 20x move in an asset and you don't expect some sort of correction? So what is a natural correction? Ironically enough, Mr. Gann himself would say, well, you just take the price and divide by 2. And ironically enough, you just take that raw price, 64,000 whatever. And gee whiz, what a surprise. Here we are, just bobbing and weaving at that level. So the interesting thing about this, unfortunately, though, is that we're ahead of schedule. We're supposed to sort of bump our way along, and usually what ends up happening is it takes about half of the time that it took to move up to move back to the 50% level. So as I said here just a moment ago, we're kind of ahead of schedule. Which means, ironically enough, there's actually lots of wiggle room now for the sort of the institutional people just to really screw around with the kids' brains here, just immensely. Just even back to trend line resistance, you could see they could easily bring this price all the way right back to that trend line, and we're still in this correction move. Conversely, and I thought this was a really interesting example of a high to low trend line, which we teach in our education program. I don't see enough people on the site doing high to low trend lines. I'd really like to see more of that. But I guess the point here is when I threw this on, I just simply asked, is the market sort of validating this kind of thinking? And boom, yeah, that looks pretty important. And then look how we acted through here. And this is why I think this trend line is kind of significant. Is look how we just sort of gyrated all around this darn level. I don't know what it is about this level, but look how we're just, it's like, it's like this is some sort of fulcrum and this is the either side of the seesaw and we're just seesawing back and forth against it. So my hunch is not really a big surprise that the market is interested in this as a level. It's almost freaky when you see that kind of stuff. And then, unfortunately, what I think is going on here, and it sucks because actually, this is a great commentary of the day traders because we're seeing this constantly every single day in the day trading room. If you're trading things like ES and sadly with the kids in the gold market is we're just getting these stop washes right, left, and center. Like this is a great one. Look at that. Run it up, stop all the shorts out, slam it back down, right? Back and forth. I mean, here's the best one, right? That's a beautiful stop wash right in there. Whoosh. So why? Well, it's a summer market. If anything, what you really have to do is you have to respect market state here and understand that, the pros, all the big money that drive sort of trends, they're off in the Hamptons right now. They don't give a crap about the stock market. I think this was a really, really good example yesterday where I was hunting this pretty cliche bullish bot setup on the ES day trader kind of taking a position. And look at what they did through the New York Open, right? Run the market up through the top. So everybody's all like, okay, whoa, it's a bull, it's a bull. And then slam the market down. Well, that Beamish guy says buy W, so I'm going to put my stop here. Look at what they did, cocksuckers. And then straight up. So that is market state. You have to respect that. This is what happens in these summer markets is they do this shit like this. So we go over to crypto, and what a surprise. They basically just did this morning to crypto. And sadly, it looks like they did it right across the board. It was interesting, actually. I finally got my fills on fucking Trex on Ethereum. So I've actually started to step in and buy Ethereum's back here now. 61.8 Mountain Man. I mean, it should be pretty obvious why. But make no mistake, I got bids working the whole way down here. So if we have to cascade lower on Ethereum, I'm fine with that. But at least hell, it's better now that we're starting to come into levels where at least institutional players are going to start thinking about being buyers than us sitting up here or anywhere along this road up here and just going, this is going to end badly. It's going to end badly. It's going to end badly. Okay, at least now they've ripped the Band-Aid off. It's done. Um, is this a quote unquote buy signal here today? No, not even remotely, not even close. All this is maybe catching a falling knife kind of thinking. Finally coming down into reload zones. There's probably a bottom somewhere down in here. So I'm certainly not quote unquote bullish. What I am going to just simply say, it's interesting on the corn because I do have a bid at Mountain and I fully expect Mountain to be traded. The guy always made money. There's no reason why this level won't be traded to in the corn. It's just that I think this is going to be back and forth through the whole fucking summer and it's going to drive everybody crazy here. And I think that's the plan. Like I said, what I think happens here, and I'm not quite sure how this plays out, but I actually think, and this is just pure conjecture, not a trade setup, just Brian talking out of his ass. I actually think we're going to do something along these lines. And then as we head into September, October, believe it or not, I actually think there's going to be like a 50% drop, maybe back against this trend line again of what this range was. Because that's exactly what happened in 1718. I don't see any reason why it'd be any different. So bang, 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 puke out. And then, and I think it's because there's going to be a whole new wave of COVID. They're going to shut everything down. It's going to be just an absolute disaster. And then that starts just an insane face rip rally up. That was basically the same thing that we just saw out of here. So ironically enough, our future, all of this, is actually probably exactly what this looked like. It's probably going to be like a carbon copy of this kind of price action. Don't be surprised. You see how we kind of come down, we waffle around, let's wash stops, wash stops, wash stops. Then one more dump, right? About what is that? That's like 9,000. What a surprise. They dumped it down to 4,500, or basically about 50% of this move. So the public's at this point is like, oh, sell, it's the end of the world. And of course, that's the bottom. And the goddamn thing goes fucking 20x on the other side of that. So interestingly enough, if we use the same thesis and we say maybe the bottom here somewhere around, 10, 15, somewhere between 10 and 15,000, 20x off of that is what? You do the math. It's a fucking shitload of money. And it's probably Willy Woo sort of scenario. Everybody knows what number he's looking for down the road. So there's your market state. It feels as though we had a little bit of a capitulation this morning. When I woke up this morning, everything was down. Everything was red. It was absolute nightmare. You went on social media, crypto Twitter. It was just end of the world. If this was the bottom and it was done and it was over, I would have actually liked it to stay down there, kind of like what we had here. It actually stays down heavily. Everybody's like, oh, it's the end of the world. Look how beep, that finished the day. Big fucking red candle. It's the end of the world. But ironically, actually, right, they open it up, take a bit lower, sucker some more panic sellers. Then it reverses and you go, holy shit, that's the bottom. And it goes straight up. So I don't think we're at a bottom if we're going to finish the day looking like this, right? If anything, we puke out, beep down, huge tail. I do like the idea, recapture, counter trend rally, back up, maybe wash these highs just like they wash these lows, and then back down we go, V tops, V bottoms. That's sort of my impression of what I see happening here. We'll see how it goes. Only time will tell. The interesting thing, like I said, is there might actually be trades setting up off of this. I've been doing a bunch of buying today. Like I said, I got filled on ETH orders that have been sitting around forever. There's a bunch, like I've got this funny shitcoin 5,000 challenge. These guys, I got a bunch of fills, obviously, coming in on a lot of these kind of names. But also, too, I thought it was interesting, I like this name, and I know Stuart, my business partner here at TRI, he likes this name. And I thought it was interesting seeing this guy coming into levels. And I had an open order. You know me, I love 78.6s. So I happen to have an open order working down here. It's probably a reference on the order book why I had it working at that specific level, but I got filled here today. And actually, that's not looking like a terrible fill. So I got a little bit of wiggle room. I think I've told you guys before, what usually happens in these markets is, it is the bottom of the reload zone. Right? What I find usually happens is that over time, the bottom actually comes in off of 78.6s, and you look back over here and you go, God damn it, I totally saw that coming. So am I early on this? Probably. Am I thinking I'll look back over time and this will be a good level to be long from? Yeah. But I thought it was just interesting to see these kind of fills coming in here in this kind of market. So I was pretty happy to see that. And then also too, it's kind of funny. I don't know how it's on. Okay, so now it's back down. This one over on Polo, and I think it's just simply because this is primarily a DeFi name, but Polo kind of being like a quasi DeFi kind of proxy. I think they're trying to give, because keep in mind, Polo is owned by Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs has their stable coin. And frankly speaking, I think what's going to happen is the US population is going to be legislated. The only stable coin you're allowed to use is Goldman Sachs's 1% stable coin. They own your ass, and that's just the way it is. Welcome to the USA. I mean, you might as well acknowledge it from the get-go. That's the way the system in the USA works. Laws are passed to pad the people that are in control. It's just as simple as that. So just get used to it. Now, you want to play that game? Fine, we can play the game. But just acknowledge that's the game. So Goldman Sachs, I mean, do you think it's an accident? Goldman Sachs people basically are either Federal Reserve banking chairmen or are, FOMC panel members or are U.S. Secretary of Treasuries. The Goldman Sachs owns the United States of America. It's simple as that. Just get used to it. Sorry, a little bit off on a tangent there. Anyway, kind of a funny story here in that I'm more than happy to actually buy into this name. This is a name that Chico referenced earlier, but I'm not on DeFi, so I don't do the pancake swap and the sushi swap and the, I don't know, swap your wife swap, all that kind of stuff. I don't do that stuff. So, I got an account on Polo, so I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can go pick some of this up off of there. So that's what I was doing here. I'm sure Chico would probably prefer that I go in and buy this through DeFi and quit with dealing with the legacy. But I'm an old man. I mean, you know how I fucking am. Stone's cold. Anyway, I was interested in this name, and it was interesting through most of the morning. This order book was so insanely thin over there, and this thing was trading at about $50-$60, but it was actually trading at $90 here over on Polo Swap. And I thought that was kind of odd that this thing was actually green when the market was so bad. But 51 to 30 to 65, I picked some up here in the 70s. And I start getting W's on this. I actually want to trade this. I actually like the look of that. As you can see, there's a shitcoin 5,000 challenge. They're not going to do anything in this kind of market. They are going to be deader than dodos. Thought it was interesting, though, kind of early signs that maybe we're nearing pivots. Mr. Dickhead here, you can see 78.6, 16.16. And the sad part about it is I love Doge. I've been in Doge longer than, probably I've been long Doge since 2000 I guess 2013, 2014. I mean, I've been long Doge forever. That kind of conversation that we had about, Ethereum and OMG and stuff. To me, actually, I think we're coming into the neighborhood where this stuff actually is probably going to start finding some sort of bottom. Now it's sort of like 16 cents, 8 cents. This is, you heard me say there a moment ago, I love lines in the sands because what ends up happening is you look back over time and you go, gee whiz, what a surprise, the market bottomed off a line in the sand. Also, too interesting here, if you can buy this below 20 cents, notice a test of this key high right in there, and this key high, well, that's 45 cents. So that means technically, let's see if anybody can read my mind. What am I thinking here? If I can come in below 20 cents, we know these highs are probably going to be tested at some point. What can I probably do? Oh, actually, oh. Brian's such a doofus. So, I thought we were still in the daily brief. So actually, I let a few people stick around in the hangout, and I forgot that this is supposed to be the public one. I'm not supposed to be talking to anyone. So that's why I'm sitting there throwing up questions. There's still a few people in the hangout, and I'm expecting you guys to talk to me here. I'm so schizophrenic. I broke all the rules today. I don't know why, but I did. So Nick, what are we supposed to be thinking? And the interesting, Nick, do you have a clue what I'm even remotely thinking about here? Probably not. You should be able to. And what I see here is I wouldn't be excellent. Astra nailed it. You should look at this and go, well, the odds of being able to manufacture a risk-free trade where I can double my money and just quickly sell half on a double and get my original capital back. So, maybe I'm going to follow along Mr. Dickhead. And, he's really good at fucking working the public. It's quite remarkable how much the public loves him. Because frankly speaking, he did nobody any favors here at all with this. But maybe I am going to ride Mr. Dickhead's coattails because frankly speaking, I still think the thing's going to go over $1. How can I get a free position established relatively easily? And I think that's basically what that is. Like we teach in the course material, horizontal support and resistance in our level 2 program. So we as professional traders know that this is a really, really, really significant level. And my hunch is they're going to be taking the price back to this level. So you can quite literally see there's an opportunity. If you want to wait for the W or whatever, fine. But, maybe this inside bars, who knows? Maybe there's divergences and stuff, who knows? I mean, you trade your setup, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. But the point here is that I could very easily see a way that the 1% can actually manufacture a nice risk-free trade for themselves here. And I see that happening a lot. I think we had a short-term capitulation bottom there this morning. And really all I would expect is we just need somebody to just say something positive in this space. For some name to just come out and say, hey, we've got this going on, and it sort of changes the conversation. Watch these, especially ones in green. Like I said, Doge probably is going to be one of the leaders here for that to happen. Just keep an eye out. I also, too, I noticed Luna, like Sjord's name. I want, just like that OMG, I want to be accumulating this thing in here. I wonder whether there was a nice little FU that they just pulled here. And I'm not really touting this as a buy. Structurally, it looks problematic, so it doesn't look friendly from a trade perspective. But I just wonder, this is another one of these things where I could very easily see over time, right? We actually see that the darn thing bottoms off that 78.6. It's the same sort of thing. I could see a bit more pain on Luna, so be careful here. But, if this was some sort of trap and they hold the lows here, we should see a counter trend rally, probably some sort of neckline up in that area, and then a dip back down. And then if this is for real, then away we go. But that's Luna has some issues. Don't get me wrong. It's interesting how it's right on the forefront of DeFi. So from what I understand, it's one of the better DeFi names. I don't know whether that's the right way to express it. It's diversified and it has the ability to talk to outside of crypto. Like there are applications that it uses that it doesn't matter what the crypto verse is thinking, circle jerk or rect kind of stuff. And also too, there was one of these DeFi stories that had a stable coin that if it's entirely within its own ecosystem kind of idea, it doesn't have that sort of diversification of revenue streams and stuff. then it can be highly manipulated. And I think that recently one of these DeFi coins was highly manipulated. As a result, funny, the 1% is now coming in and actually demanding that this space be regulated. I don't know whether they're really going to hear a receptive ear. I thought it was interesting. The SEC guys like, well, so fucking what? I thought it was fascinating. The article that I read this morning about the SEC's reaction to what's the guy's name? Dell computer founder guy. I think he came in and bought one of these stable coins and basically lost everything. Cuban? I think that's his name. Mark Cuban. So Nick's learned here. He said, "Yeah, one lesson I've learned is don't fall in love with any of this stuff. I mean, you have to acknowledge that. That's why, Nick, I built 2 rules of investing, and it's exactly for that reason why rule number 2 exists. Right? Just don't risk too much of your money on any one single idea. You do that, and odds are you're going to make it through whatever kind of bear market there is. But you start putting all your money, all your chips on one name, the statistical odds of disaster happening is actually extremely high. So. All right, so I don't know. Obviously an interesting day in crypto, a little bit of capitulation. I spent most of this video just talking crypto. I kind of wanted to do it as a dovetail to the video and on the site today with Kiran and Daniele, because there's just so much to talk about here on this. Quick overview of the broader risk market. Interesting how the US dollar here is now actually painted a railroad tracks at that 2.618 foggy level. So my hunch is we're probably coming back down to the original breakout. That technically should be a risk on bet. And if that's the case, notice stocks have now a nasty railroad tracks and are pressing higher. Crude oil now has an inverted empire formation working and pressing higher. That's risk on. Interesting how we've been sort of conjecturing how was the small cap market going to react? Are we going to get that, right shoulder that we kind of wanted to see, and then a reversal off of that up through this neckline level to give us that sort of next sort of risk on proxy? That might be happening here. Crypto, did we have that capitulation dump? I would have, for this to be the bottom, I would have preferred the market to stay down here because we've dead cat bounced right back into resistance. I don't think this is the bottom, but they got the kids on the run here emotionally. Now, the one thing that I don't understand about all this, if this is sort of the low and we're going to rally here, maybe it makes sense because, I don't know when that U.S. legislation is expected to happen. But I would expect risk on to be weak until that legislation is actually passed and the banksters get a big whack of new money. So we'll see what happens. The crypto market, this makes a lot of sense to me, and especially if we look at crypto itself. We had the Coinbase IPO come out. The market has been washed out from that. And I actually think that coin itself is actually trying to bottom here, and I've been buying as well. Oh, isn't that interesting? Look at that. That son of a gun starting to turn back up. So I was working bids to start taking positions in this thing, just like a Bitcoin ETF. So that's interesting. I also noticed Riot here this morning, kind of the corner of my eye. He's turning back up, trying to actually put in an engulfing bar. Galaxy, Mr. Novogratz. Ooh, interesting. Mr. Novogratz broke to new lows here. So we never did get the W on the other side of this trend line. Anything great to see that, if you are a bull, we just got to wait for the W's to come in. Keep in mind, Mr. Novogratz, this Canadian stock priced in Canadian dollars, there may be a currency function with that. Like I kind of noticed that these... I haven't taken a position in this yet. Remember this one? Fuck, I had one hell of a buy signal down here, and I totally screwed that trade up. But anyway, finally cleaning itself up, working its way back down. Still think these gaps down here need filling. Probably down into this area, the end of the summer, maybe beginning of the fall. I do like the idea that Bitcoin dumps into early fall, big panic, flu virus is right back up, ramping up super hot. They have to pass more stimulus, more panic, and that's what sends our Bitcoin and stuff up to gazillions and gazillions of dollars. So I still like that scenario. So I'd be thinking, dips against these lows. I want to buy. I don't really want to buy that there. But it's interesting because the other Bitcoin ETF, I don't mind the idea slowly coming in and accumulating. Maybe it means we need to go down even further on this, but usually what ends up happening with these things is they usually come off about 50% of their IPO price. So this thing's 1058. That's where they brought it out to market. So that's like 5.5. So I didn't really mind thinking about accumulating down here. Like I said, I bought it like 589 on that tail right there. Maybe they have to knock it down all the way down into these foggy levels into the fall. But that could be. I could actually see a scenario where they ramp it up here and then have to come back down along this trend line and bottom. That wouldn't surprise me. So I did a little bit of buy, but please understand, I'm on a buy program here, which means that basically I'm buying when others are crying. I will be slowly just accumulating this stuff. And I was showing the good people on the site today. Actually, I bought a lot of crypto here recently. A lot of the shit coins, shitcoin 5,000 challenge, those bids all coming in and getting filled. And everybody loves that stuff because they're total garbage, right? That's all these you can see, right? They're all coming into the bottom ends of ranges. So I'm getting lots of fills on these things. Almost everything here should be now starting to get into buyable zones. And some bigger positions, like I didn't buy any Luna. I did buy some of this here, so I'm not really in a huge hurry. I also bought a little bit off semi-point tag. I might just go and buy a little bit more on another W. But like I said, that OMG, I do like the look of this fill here today. I like that. So again, probably not a huge hurry. We'll probably be adding to this buy as we go if we start seeing W's come in. But right now, again, I'm accumulating. And just remember, folks, super important. And I told the people in the video this. Brian is usually right. So it's super important that you all know that. Well, I just take that for whatever it's worth. But the saying goes, and it's pretty damn accurate. Brian's usually right, but Brian's usually early. I don't have a problem sitting there going, yeah, looks like I was a bit early, but what the hell? I'm a buyer. I don't mind. Just be aware of that. So what that usually means is usually I like location. Location is the first thing that we want to pay attention to. I'm going to start accumulating, I'll start my buy program. And then as more and more anecdotal evidence, this might take 4 or 5 months to turn here. So that's really the way I think you should be looking at the market. Brian's usually right, but he's usually early. Just FYI. All right. Anything specific in the stock market? A couple drug stocks that were popping. If you happen to have taken advantage of them, like I said, I didn't talk about this with the group today because we had our special presenters and I didn't want to interrupt them. But if you did happen to participate in the ADIL, actually it's gapping higher. Don't even like that. I hate when they gap higher like that because look, you see, it just comes back down, fills in the gap. If anything, it's good. Fill that gap in, get that done, then turn back up, please. But you just look at these, zoom out a bit. So be forewarned or be aware, whatever. Looks like this guy's getting ahead of steam behind him. So just make sure you got to have your open orders working, kind of like this, right? If your double level here, the first thing this morning was up in this area, and you didn't have those open orders working, well, you missed the trade. Sorry, pal. It's over. So it's a good idea just to go through your list and just see where you bought stuff and just make darn sure you got those open orders working. Because like I said, it looks to me like something's brewing here. That's some serious volume coming in here. You can see This thing's getting ready to rock and roll here, folks. What a pretty chart. In an otherwise meh kind of market. So, and another one that we picked up, same sort of thing. This is kind of a funny one. I actually bought on the gap lower, and I am trying to buy more and accumulate, but look at that. So I don't know if they're going to get their act together, but you can see at one point in the not too distant past, this thing was $5. That's all open air. So from a buck and a half, just be ready. I mean, what did it trade here today? 25.5 million shares. Somebody's taking a big position here. So not banging out any doubles today, but you can see shit's lining up. You can see, I put out tweets the other day kind of saying, you know, we're getting near the end. I've been warning people, sell in May and walk away. The message over the past couple months has been, this market sucks, horse cocks. I know you guys love that. I think Kevin, he loves to pull that line out of the blue. I mean, it just has. It sucked. But the problem is that now we're coming into the end of that window. So you got to get your plan ready to go. You've got to get the names that you want to be long, you know, whether it be things like crypto names. You know, in crypto, most of you guys speak to this audience. Look at that. Now we're back above that 220 level. I don't know whether this is the bottom. And, well, there's a couple others. But anyway, I don't know whether this is the bottom. But if it is, and we go up through this 250, 247 area, right? 249, 249, 39. This fucking thing might just take off here. And the cool part about it, now that at least I've been starting to accumulate, if we do get that rally back up top, wicks and tails like to be eaten, I should be able to get that sell half on a double order filled. And kind of the same thing on this, right? The old highs there were 12. So if I come in here at 6, at least now we go up and fill those gaps. Boom, sell half on a double. I get my free stock. I don't know if that's what the case is, but in a weird sort of way in this business, you got to force yourself. You got to come in when they're crying and when nobody's happy and everybody's throwing fits and stuff. And you got to force yourself to step in there and accumulate. And that's all about having a plan and all that nonsense. All that nonsense of being a professional in this world. Ooh, hello. What's going on here? Nice. Look at that. Kevin, actually, we've got a TRI SOF meeting tonight. So we'll probably be reviewing names like that. Jesus, that looks awesome. Marin Software. I would do yourself a favor. There's a treat. I mean, I'm not telling you about what to buy or sell. I couldn't give a rat's ass. You all know that. But, I mean, W's are W's are W's, people. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe go do some due diligence. Get yourself a free little idea there today. So. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the rant at that. Never a dull moment. PMA for the win. Don't take no wooden nickels. What else can we say here? Slow and steady wins a race. Make sure to have your open orders working. Trade from a plan. Try and, vet out what are the reasons that are going to get you to act ahead of time so that when this stuff... I mean, do you know how hard it is to force yourself to come in and buy a down market like this? I mean, it's tough. The only way you can do this is you got to go, okay, I want to buy this thing, but I want to see it just get an absolutely ripped apart. All right, step 1. All right, now I want to see reload zones. Step 2. All right, now I want to see, tests of low ends of ranges and them holding. Step 3, you want to throw W's in there? Whatever. I don't really care. Just try and plan, vet all this stuff out ahead of time so that when that happens right there, you go, duh, why am I not buying this thing? All right. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. I sure hope you enjoyed that. A very odd tangent I've gone down here today, but what the hell? Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Don't take no wooden nickels. Here we go again. Kevin, take us out of here before I blow my head up. All the best and bye for now.